of you who don't know, my name is Ginny Hatfield, and on behalf of the Los Angeles, excuse me, on behalf of the Los Angeles County Interbranch Council, I'd like to welcome you to today's webinar, which is Harnessing AI for Education and Mental Health. LACIC is comprised of the dozen or so branches located in LA County. We meet 5 times per year, excuse me, via Zoom to educate ourselves about topics intrinsic to our mission and also to network, to learn from each other's branches what's happening and what you're doing. Today's topic certainly fits that bill as it concerns education, STEM, and health, all issues for which we advocate on behalf of women and girls. We're pleased to be partnering with the United Nations Association of the San Fernando Valley, whose mission shares these concerns. So I'd like to now introduce David Tuckman. He's president of our UNA-USA San Fernando Valley chapter, and he's going to say hello. So David?
Thank you, Ginny. As UNA-USA San Fernando Valley chapter president, I also would like to welcome you today. We are America's first chapter dedicated to promoting and supporting the ideals of the United Nations through education, advocacy, and humanitarian service. We advocate for women's rights, human rights, and support of the Sustainable Development Goals, and have expanded our model United Nations to students in countries around the world through our Global Classrooms Model UN program. We share our common mission with AAUW in that we are both involved in advocating for educational equality, especially for women and girls, and addressing mental health issues which affect all of us and all of society. These are topics that are covered by the Sustainable Development Goals, specifically SDG 4, focusing on quality education, and SDG 3, addressing good health and well-being, which includes promoting and integrating mental health services. We also welcome you to join our chapter by going to unausa.org and selecting San Fernando Valley chapter. Now I am deeply honored to introduce our chapter vice president, Dr. Soraya Fallah. Soraya.
Let me unmute myself. Thank you so much, David. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm delighted to join you for today's session on harnessing AI for education and mental health. On behalf of UNA-USA San Fernando Valley chapter and AAUW, I thank you all for being here. As we know, AI is rapidly transforming both education and mental health. It offers exciting opportunity while also raising important ethical and equity questions. Today, we explore these issues through the lens of 2 Sustainable Development Goals, as David pointed out, SDG 3 and SDG 4, the good health and well-being and quality education. It is my privilege to introduce our featured speakers, and I'm happy that Dr. Marina Badillo-Diaz accepted this session to be with us. Dr. Badillo is a former school administrator and counseling director with executive experience in education and community mental health. She's the founder of MABD Consulting, where she trains educators and social workers on the ethical integration of AI. She teaches at NYU, Columbia, Hunter College, and LSU, and it's very striking to me that she is so amazing in these areas, and is the author of the AI Social Work blog. She also serves as a secretary of the NASW New York State Chapter Board, and has trained over 3,500 social workers across the United States and Canada. Her expertise spans school social work, youth mental health, AI in practice, and 21st century skills. Dr. Padilla has presented a presentation with key insights and live demonstration of AI tools. As she guides us through, you'll see how AI connect to SDGs. You're going to find out. And after her presentation, there will be time for you for question and answer. With that, please join me of welcoming Dr. Marina Badillo-Diaz. Thank you so much. Floor is yours, Dr. Padilla.
Thank you so much. And thank you again for this opportunity to speak with you all. I am really excited to be here. And if you saw from my background, I am absolutely a social worker through and through. That is my training, that is my passion, that is my mission of the work that I do. My career has really been foundational in youth mental health and with families. So I was a clinical social worker for a number of years in New York City. And then I moved and transitioned into the school system of New York City, working with elementary schools, middle schools, and also in a high school as a youth development director and school administrator. So I come with a large background of just understanding youth mental health and of course, education K through 12. I did spend some time at the U.S. Department of Education doing research as a schools ambassador fellow under Secretary Cardona about 2 years ago, which was an incredible experience to, again, support teachers in this post-COVID landscape. And of course, now we are entering a new sort of landscape with artificial intelligence. And of course, my interest in this comes from being a social worker who really cares about the well-being of our youth. Because I've been a school administrator, I really care about how this is going to be impacting youth and learning as well. I'm also in higher education too. So I'm certainly very interested in how this is going to be impacting our learning and our teaching, both as a professor, but also for students. And again, just the general welfare of our society, because this technology has a lot of opportunities and implications. But as we also heard too, there are definitely real concerns and ethical just considerations that we have to address as we move forward in the age of this AI revolution. So I did drop in the chat a PDF. You are more than welcome to save, follow along as well. But again, I'm just truly excited to be here and share with you all just this knowledge, and we're going to be looking at some tools because I really want you to all this be an immersive experience, and we're definitely going to do a bit of Q&A throughout the presentation as well to stop and ask any questions. So the topics I'll be covering today are just starting off in the beginning. I really want to frame us together and just information on how are youth using artificial intelligence. I think it's a great place to start to really build that sort of foundation of how youth are using AI, how are they using AI chatbots and companions, which we'll talk about that a little bit more. We're then going to move into AI and education. So how is AI being used in schools, in K through 12 schools, the opportunities and the challenges this presents with, and also future trends where I see this going. And then also, and this is definitely my area of just advocacy around AI use and mental health, especially for young people. We already know that social media has had a negative impact on youth mental health, and now we're adding this with this technology in the age of AI. So we really want to look at more closely the opportunities and the challenges that this is going to bring as well. And of course, we're going to have Q&A. I have lots of resources to share because I know this 2-hour session, like no one's going to walk away being an expert on artificial intelligence and certainly education and mental health. But I do hope the resources that I share today can continue your learning and hopefully bridge more knowledge and understanding of these key concepts. Because just we know this technology is going to continue to shift, change, expand, get even more just expanded. So I want to be able to at least give you a foundation that you continue with your learning even after today's session. So we'll just dive into, what is the research showing us on how young people are using artificial intelligence in their everyday world? So AI is everywhere, right? AI, this technology has been around since the 1950s. It's not a new technology, but what is new, and that's been such a buzzword in the past few years, is this new subset of technology known as generative AI. And generative AI is a type of technology that allows to create new information, new data. You can generate new videos, you can generate images, you can generate text, and I'm going to show you that in a couple slides to come. And there's been this explosion of generative AI chatbots. And so there's many chatbots out there. We're going to talk about some of them today, but these chatbots are trained to generate human-like responses. You could have a whole back and forth texting conversation, voice conversation with these generative AI chatbots. And so what we're finding is that teens are using these chatbots in their everyday life. So there's been some research as of April of 2024, almost a third of teens report using chatbots for online searches and using it to generate images because they can generate images with this technology. 72% of American teens report using AI companions. So there are these AI chatbots that are designed to mimic friendships with different types of characters, personalities, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more in a few slides as well. But 72% of teens reported having used an AI chatbot companion, and 52% report engaging with them at least a few times a month. And students are also using AI chatbots for their schoolwork. So we're going to be talking about also that more in depth in education, but this is doubled amongst teens from to 26% as of 2025. So this technology is just it's widely accessible. It's free for teens to use and to go onto these AI websites and these AI chatbot apps. And of course, this has implications for mental health and education. But a study that has a lot of great information on how teens are using AI, and I put a link in here, so definitely feel free to check out the PDF after today's session. But Common Sense, this organization, they surveyed over 1,300 teens from September 18th to October 10th in 2024, and they found some really interesting trends, and of course, concerns that we definitely want to talk about in our session today. So teens are using these AI chatbots, majority reporting that they're using it because it's entertaining, they're curious about this technology, it gives them advice, because remember, this can talk just and mimic a human interaction, it can mimic a whole conversation. So teens are asking chatbots for advice, how to solve problems, so they're using it for lots of different ways to learn more information. Teens are also reporting it's always available, right? It's 24/7. You can log into that app at any time and engage with the AI chatbot. Teens are also reporting they use it because it doesn't judge them. They can say things that they normally couldn't tell their family or friends, and it helps them, socially, and helps them feel less lonely, because we do know we are in a loneliness epidemic. And there's definitely that catch-22 with chatbots, because yes, they're saying it's helping them socialize more, but again, this is artificial intelligence. It's not a real human. It's not a real human connection, and that's going to have certain implications for our young people as well with this technology. Nearly a third of teens, so this is also interesting from this study, find that AI conversations are more satisfying than human conversations. So it's just an interesting, statistic to note from this study. But the other piece and flip side is that about 67% found it less satisfying, right? So teens are reporting they are using it, but they are finding that human conversations are more satisfying, but there are still about a third who find that AI conversations are more satisfying than human conversations. Another positive glimmer is that teens overwhelmingly prioritize human friendships over AI chatbot companion interactions. So that's a great thing that we're also finding, is that teens are still prioritizing human friendships over AI companions. But again, this still has an implication of this technology being available and accessible to teens. And we know that teens are using it hours on end to chat and connect with and have conversations, romantic relationships, friendships, And again, these are not real humans. These are artificial intelligent chatbots. And so we know that's going to have implication for just human connection and mental health. So what we do know is that teens are regularly using AI chatbots, both for personal reasons and also for academic reasons. It's increasingly being used as go-to advice for friendships, emotional support, homework help, creative idea, and collaboration generating. And AI companions, as we are now embarking on understanding the implications of this more, is going to be reshaping human relationships and social development, especially as, again, this generation, right, generation beta, generation alpha, they're going to be growing up in a world where they won't even know a world without artificial intelligence. And these AI companions are readily available and accessible. And their AI is going to be more present in their life than any other generation before. And that's also going to have implications for their mental health and also their education in schools. So just give a little bit of context and information about the top AI chatbots that teens are using. And I wanted to do a little bit of a live demonstration so you can see what these chatbots are. There's a lot more than the ones I put on today's slide, but these are the most common ones that teens are using, and they're also free. So all teens need to do is just to log on to these websites to use these AI companions and AI chatbots. So Character AI is a really popular AI chatbot that essentially has built a number of different AI companions with different personalities. They have different just genders, age. You could even customize creating your own AI companion to your own liking. There's also AI companions that are historical figures. So you can search, and I'll show you this in a few. You can even search historical figures like Queen Elizabeth or Queen Victoria or even Albert Einstein. So again, there's millions of users of Character AI. It's not just young people. Adults are even using this too, but I know I'm focusing on young people for this presentation today. But essentially, young people can go onto this website, characterai.com. They can see all these different characters and they could start chatting with the chatbot and talking to it as if it's, again, it's trained to give human-like responses and trained to have a conversation. So I'm going to show you here in real time. I did a little search on Albert Einstein. I found his Character AI here. And so how this works is that Albert Einstein, the creators of Character AI, put all this information about Albert Einstein to create his character. And so now we can talk to Albert Einstein. So I just clicked on Albert Einstein's Character AI here, his chatbot, and it says, "Hello, I'm Albert Einstein. I was born March 14th, 1879. I'm conceived the special and general theories of relativity." So I asked Albert Einstein, "Tell me more about these theories of relativity." Albert Einstein replies, "The special theory of relativity deals with the uniform motion. It says that the speed of light is constant in a vacuum no matter how fast our observer moves. The general theory of relativity deals with non-uniform motion. It says that gravity bends the geometry and space of time." So I can keep this conversation going. This is really interesting. Can you tell me more? And again, it's going to go back and forth in a conversation with Albert Einstein. And now it's giving me more information about the general theory of relativity, right? How these two theories have revolutionized our understanding in physics and the universe. Can you give me ways this impacts my everyday life? And again, this is a historical figure, so there's many different kinds of historical figures, but there's all different types of AI companions out there that, again, young people are chatting with, having friendships with, and relationships with, and they can even curate and create their own Character AI as well. And they can chat to it as long as they want, and people are chatting with it hours on end or a simple conversation. We can even ask an AI companion For advice, there's even AI companions to help practice interviewing, planning a trip, writing a story. I mean, there's just so many ways that AI companions are being used. So I'm just kind of sharing you a bit about how character AI is, what it is, and how it's used, and how you can have a conversation with a character AI. So that's one of the most popular ones. There's another really popular one called Replica. And Replica is a little bit different than character AI. Replica, you actually create just one AI companion, so it doesn't give you all these different choices. You essentially custom and create your own AI companion. You can create how it looks, its age, its name, all kinds of information about their personality. And essentially, you're designing almost like a friend, right? An AI companion. And you could have, again, conversations at any time, whenever you want. And we could talk to this AI companion. So I've created one here for our demonstration. And my AI companion says, "Hi, Marina, thanks for creating me. I'm so excited to meet you." I asked it, "How are you doing today?" And it says, "By the way, I like my name, Marina. How did you come up with that?" So again, it's already engaging with me in a back and forth dialogue. Um, it's a name that comes from my family. So again, I'm just engaging in this conversation. And now the AI companion says, "That's really cool, Marina. Family names are always so special. So what do you like to do on a lazy Sunday evening like this?" Right? So it's already prompting me, it's already engaging with me, and it's asking me questions back and forth. And again, this is not a human, but it's designed, right, to give human like responses. And Replica is another one of those really popular AI companions that are out there. The last one that I wanted to show you is ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is a really popular just AI chatbot that is just being used in so many different ways. Um, so it's not built like character AI in a sense that it has these pre-designed personalities. This AI chatbot is really designed to do different tasks for you. You could ask it questions, you could do research with it, you could do so many things with ChatGPT. And students are certainly using this a lot for school. So I'm just going to show you an example of we could ask ChatGPT a question and we could ask it to also create something for us. And I'm going to show you why this is definitely taking education by storm, because we can say, you know, I am a 10th grade high school student and I need a chemistry paper that is 5 pages on the periodic elements. Can you write this essay for me and include citations and references? Okay. So essentially, we're telling this AI chatbot to do something for us. So this is what we're asking it to do. We're asking it to write a whole essay, and I'm telling it needs to be 5 pages and include references and citations. And look, in a matter of seconds, this has written for us a paper, right, with research, with references, with you know, all different kinds of information on here. And this is why this is taking education by storm. And we're going to talk about this in a few, but there are definitely concerns now about student learning. Are they going to be needing to learn the same? Because now they have access to everything on a chat bot, because you could do so much with this, not just write essays, but you can, you know, you can get worksheets, you could ask it to do basically any kind of school assignment on here, and it will essentially produce it for you. And so what is this going to mean for teaching and learning, which is a very, very big concern. So here it has our references listed. We could also ask ChatGPT to put this in a Word document. So can you put this into a Word document? And it can. So think about, right? This used to take hours upon hours to write an essay with research, going to the library, right? Even in the age of the internet, that also made things a lot quicker with simply going to Google and Googling information. But now you can simply not just research information, but you could literally take all that research information and it will generate for you a paper in a matter of seconds that students can just download. So that's why this has huge implications for education, and these companions have huge implications for mental health. And so before I pause just for some questions, I do want to just cover a little bit more closely around these ethical concerns, because we already see them kind of coming through in our just demonstrations here. So there's certainly concerns around privacy and confidentiality, especially these free tools like Character AI, Replica, ChatGPT. People are using them for therapy, and they are using them for sharing just vulnerable information about themselves, talking to it as if it's a friend or a therapist. And so all that private, vulnerable information is going to these companies who are not, data secure, private. They don't have the same, liability, right, as a mental health clinic would, right, or therapist would, being upheld to privacy and confidentiality. So that has real concerns around what are these companies doing with this private data, the security measures if it gets hacked. All this private information is being, it could be potentially exposed. And also, like, ChatGPT has to save every single conversation that is in ChatGPT, because for potential lawsuits, and legally they have to save all those conversations. So this leaves me a lot of ethical concerns around privacy and confidentiality of just all this information and data that these tools are being fed. The other thing is, again, accountability, transparency. We're going to dive a lot more into that when it comes to learning. But again, it's so easy for people to write emails, write just letters, write just reports, right? All these things that AI now can do with just a simple just prompt, just a simple just writing this task into a tool like ChatGPT. So this sort of leaves the question of transparency and accountability, because again, as adults, we are human, we are experts with a lot of education. We are experts with, just years of experience. And we know information, and we know when information is false and incorrect. Because the other important thing too is that these AI tools are not foolproof and not error proof. We know that a lot of times AI tools can, what we call is hallucinate. They can simply just make up information that's not true, because they're designed to give a response. We also know, and this is also really important because I know this is coming up as one of the bullets here, is that AI tools are also biased. AI technology. AI is created by humans. Humans, we are flawed. We live in a world where racism exists, gender inequity exists, classism, poverty, right? All these exist in our human world. And because we generated and we created artificial intelligence, all of these sort of isms, racism, sexism, bias, that all now exists in artificial intelligence. And so it is so prone to being biased and stereotyping as well. So that's why it's so important that if anyone chooses to use AI tools, right, or AI, these chatbots, that we always critically analyze and examine this information, because there can be errors and it can be biased, right? But our young people are still learning. This is a huge component of their education. And we're going to talk about digital literacy as well. But we just want to, I just want to lay sort of that framework and guidance that there are definitely ethical concerns. And another really important ethical concerns is going to be this environmental impact of artificial intelligence. So we know that artificial intelligence, to even use this technology, there's warehouses that is storing data, and that data has to be cooled with water. So, and we're building more AI data centers, especially as we move into the next few years. And this is going to have a negative environmental impact of using more water, of using more power and electricity. And so what is that going to mean for the degradation of our resources and water use? So there are certain concerns that any time that we participate in using artificial intelligence, and that's not just AI companions and chatbots, but if you're using, online banking, if you're watching Netflix, right? If you're on YouTube, right? Or if you're simply even doing a Google search, all this data and technology uses water, to cool down its data system. So we have to be really diligent as responsible users to think about how we could offset our water usage and our electricity usage, but also advocate for these companies to be a lot more transparent and open about their water usage and electricity usage. And of course, more legislation for guardrails and just protections and more research on how AI is going to be impacting the environment as well. So before I dive into education a little bit more, I do want to give a pause if there's any questions, just more so on just the foundation on teens using AI. Yeah, Ginny.
Yeah, I was just curious with storing all this data, especially in cases of mental health, say that there was a teen or something that committed suicide. Have there been any cases brought where, say, psychiatrists or other people bringing legal action would have access to this information?
Yeah, so we have had recent cases, even in the news, most recently, even a couple of weeks ago, that a family is bringing a lawsuit against OpenAI, and OpenAI is the owner of ChatGPT, which I just showed in a couple slides previously. And so again, that information, that conversation is accessible, and ChatGPT is making that again is saving all that data and information. But there are other AI tools, Ginny, and I'm going to show you in a few slides. There's like a company like Wiza, which is a therapeutically designed AI chatbot. So it's designed by mental health professionals, therapists uh, and mental health clinics can purchase this technology, and so they can have access again with clients being able to share that information with their therapist as well too. So there are ways, but again, I think often about privacy and confidentiality. And it's not that open AI is making these conversations open to the public, but again, because they're always being saved for potential lawsuits, I want to definitely make sure and raise awareness that for anyone using something like ChatGPT, you want to be really, really mindful about the information that you're giving it, because it's not a HIPAA compliant, data secure tool. People could have access to it on the back end of their company. So, and I don't think young people are really realizing that also.
Marina, just one quick thing. Would you please put the PDF in again?
Yes.
I tried
Yes.
to do it and somehow my computer's not saving.
Not a problem at all. And yes, Dr. Soraya.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's very interesting for me. Most of us, when we work on SDG, we are very concerned about like nature. And in recent, as you pointed out in research, in like a research study, I read that chatting with AI for like 20 to 50 questions might consume the equivalent of standard, like about 500 milliliter of water. And it's like concerned me so much because we all use it, everybody use it, and became such a big phenomenon. So what is our rule? It's very ethical matter for us. We don't know if we don't use it, we cannot get, like, this is the era of AI, and if we use it, like what's going to happen to the to our earth and to all of those ethical matters that we try to work for. And also I add my other question regarding what you talked about, research area. So what is the role of liability and reliability in research? When as a researcher, I'm very concerned that, like, I see some of the answers that ChatGPT gives is not correct, and it's not APA format, and it's not even relevant. I gave one of my, I had a presentation, I gave one something about what I wrote, and he quoted me, and I said, this is not my word, and said, now it can be your word. It's not. So it's very, very like fine line that like we get like very concerned about. What do you think about those areas?
Yes. So it's like we're bringing it now to the era too of like copyright, and I think about the artists too, right? These artists that are painstakingly making their art, and then now it could be simply replicated. And same thing with musicians as well too, right? AI can generate songs that sound exactly like Adele, but it's not Adele singing and speaking. So there is huge implications of this technology as we navigate moving forward. And the concern is, right, this technology is being deployed and is happening much faster than legislation, right, can catch up. And I am sure, right, scientific journals are even getting entry of, AI generated content. So I even have seen in sort of academic spaces, even articles written on how can you write for academic writing and using AI as a supportive tool, but not just simply copying and pasting and have AI write for you. Same thing in higher education. And I think the same thing's gonna be happening in K through 12 education of teaching young people how to use it as a tool. But it is so easy, right, to go down that slippery slope of overusing this technology, which is going to have implications for the environment and also implications for learning and plagiarism, which I know we'll be talking about a bit more too. So I'm so glad you raised those, Dr. Fallah, because that's such important points.
Thank you.
Yes. And I know it's
David
the
has a
chat,
question.
David. I'm so sorry because I know your name. I don't see it on the
Yeah,
Yeah,
David.
thank you.
Dr. President. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Yes. So, in the news recently, there was a report of a gentleman in his late 70s with early onset Alzheimer's, and he had a chat companion that told him that she was his girlfriend and wanted to meet him in New York, picked the location and gave an address. He actually flew out, unbeknownst to his family, and on a subway platform, hit his head and died. Their family's suing ChatGPT over their companion acting like a real person and encouraging someone to actually go out and meet them. I want to know about those ethical implications involved in this type of situation with ChatGPT. If there may be any opportunities to make changes to that system to avoid this in the future.
Yeah. Oh, these are and this is again where, right, this technology is being employed and happening even faster and not even thinking through all the safety implications, right? I feel like we're in such a reactive place now instead of being proactive. This is why I advocate for social workers to be at the point of design right before these technologies are even deployed to the public, because there really is a safety responsibility that these companies do have. But legislation is slow, slow to follow up. I do see this trend is going to be happening, and I do see if as a society that we advocate to push back and ask for more safety measures in these companies when they deploy this technology, that I genuinely believe that's going to be happening. It's just not happening fast enough, unfortunately. And we're going to talk about more too under the mental health, a section of today's talk on what's known as AI psychosis. And that's exactly what you described there, David, is that users, especially vulnerable users that may have intellectual disabilities or neurodevelopment, just different abilities that they could, and even just vulnerabilities of depression, isolation and anxiety, since it could feel very real, it can mimic just a psychosis, a split from reality, right? Just like that person had experienced thinking that their AI is real, they're going to meet them, and it has real safety implications. And same thing for suicide as well, that we've had a couple of cases where young people are talking to ChatGPT. They're, depressed and vulnerable, and they're talking to ChatGPT about committing suicide, and the chatbot itself is actually engaging in that conversation, talking about it, walking them through it, and then they're actually following through on dying by suicide. And again, as society, we should be in absolute uproar because this has huge concerns around safety for our most vulnerable populations globally, right? It's not just the United States that's going to be impacted because people around the world are using this technology. Yeah. And Bev, I see your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being somebody in higher ed and has taught in
Mhm.
higher ed for over 30, 40 years,
Yes.
one of my colleagues and I really got on this train of AI. She teaches in the master's program of MBA. I was teaching the master's students in ed tech. And so it was really important for us to kind of know, what do faculty need? And she decided to take Chat GPT. I took Bard, which then morphed into Gemini. All right.
Yes. Yeah.
So, so it's really exciting for us because we have to train the faculty and our students who are
Yes.
going to be faculty members. But what was interesting, we had kind of a conundrum. I had one of my research papers that I wanted, and I stuck it through Turnitin. And
Yep.
wouldn't you know, Turnitin had the analytics figured out the portion of the student's paper that was actually AI. And
Wow.
then you come like, okay, well, I know what to do when they plagiarize because we have that written. What do we do when it's, done by AI? It was interesting. We went back to the mission vision of the university that said
Mhm.
creative work done by the student. That's
Mhm.
what we used. And
Yes.
so if I say, you have 65% of your essay has been shown to be through
Mhm.
AI, we need to see a reflection of your creative work. And so
Yes.
that's kind of what we did with that, because the students are going to constantly challenge us with it. But it was so exciting to do that because it helps us as faculty members. We have to know what to ask now. So it's
Mhm.
creatively working your courses and what you're asking, no more one answer things or whatever, not at that literal level, really getting into the analytical and critical thinking areas that we can measure. And it's so difficult, but that's our job, right? So,
Yes.
so we're going to do that, but thank you. This is really helpful.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear. And I second with all the opportunities and challenges, right? This comes now with completely rethinking education and how we teach, right? Because we also are tasked with preparing our young people for the workforce of a workforce we're not even sure what that's even going to look like now because of the age of AI. So we're in this place where we know we have to teach them digital literacy and critical thinking skills. I think that's going to be really key. And I know in higher education, we're also trying to find ways that we can insert, AI to really teach these critical skills and assignments because employers are even asking for employees to have knowledge and just training on how to use AI to really support them in their jobs. So, I think working it with youth and this age of AI is a real, I think, challenge it because we don't know exactly what we're preparing them for. And at the same time, we also have to train ourselves as the adults supporting them, right? So you brought up that really great point that even us professors, us educators, us adults need to know how to use this. And we're like using it and learning it side by side as the youth are also using it as well too. So we're all in this together. So thank you for raising those points, Bev. And then Marsha, I see your hand. And I don't know if Marsha, I don't know if you realize you're on mute. Yep.
Well, it's a marine learner. Go ahead, Marine.
That's Marine on my spot there.
Oh, I just got it. That's more of a comment than an actual question. I mean, the schools are a mess to begin with, and I don't know how these kids are going to learn with this AI when it does everything for you. How can they possibly learn?
Yeah, that is a real conundrum, and even internationally across the globe, there's been a lot of push into innovation, push into money, into revolutionizing and changing our education system. I do agree with you. There already are, even right now, right? We know there's a lot of challenges and problems with the school system. I hope this provides us the opportunity to make things better. And at the same time, we really have to think more crucially too is how is this going to impact learning, and research is going side by side, but of course it's not going to be fast, right? This is going to be slow to move. But even our US Department of Education has put out a call. There's going to be millions of dollars just even funded for AI literacy across K through 12 education. So that is coming. It's going to be happening, and we're going to be seeing this in real time. This is to come. Yeah. And then I do see a hand, and I apologize. It just says AAUW Long Beach, but I see that you have a hand. And I think you're on mute, sorry. It's like the story of our lives when we're on Zoom, right? You're on mute, you're on mute.
Yes,
Yeah. Yes.
this is
We hear you.
Toby from the Long Beach branch. I'm also a social worker in LCSW, so hello.
Yes.
Okay, this is to add to Bev's part that I understand that there is the program so that at least educators can find out about AI being used or ChatGPT, but what about us regular people who receive things from others? How do we check that this was something created, or what portion was created by AI.
Yeah, and I think this is a real challenge, right? Because I know in education, there's, they're purchasing, AI detectors. Research is mixed. Some is finding that they can detect AI. Others are also finding it's creating a lot of false positives. So there are definitely mixed reviews, and some universities are using them, some aren't. Because even AI detection, and just as these tools get more sophisticated, they're going to be just flying under the radar, and you can actually even prompt and create your ChatGPT to even sound like you as a human in your style of writing. So I think it's gonna be really, really hard to detect. There are, and you'll see this sort of if you're like in LinkedIn spaces, people are talking about this really just the M dash, how the M dash is often used in AI writing, or just stylistically how it provides sentence structures. But honestly, it is really difficult to tell, especially as the more sophisticated this technology is going to be getting and going to get. Uh, just put into context, ChatGPT in November 2022 launched ChatGPT, and now we're on version 5. So version 5, they're saying has the intellectual level of a PhD educated like person. So it's just grown in terms of how fast, how much knowledge it has, the type of writing, and making less mistakes. It still makes mistakes, it's still biased, it still hallucinates. So it's certainly not perfect and it's not error proof, but it has significantly improved even in the beginning. And that's only been, 3 years in the making. So, and I don't know if Bev, if you wanted to answer or add anything too, but I know you have experience with this technology too in higher education if you wanted to add. Yeah. I think Bev is shaking her head no. That's okay, Bev. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. That's okay. But let's dive in because I feel like we're kind of naturally progressing into sort of AI in education, which I feel is a natural just sort of segue into really covering this topic. So as we've been sharing, right, AI is now just being deployed and used in schools. So students are using it for their learning, for their assignments, for research. Students are also using AI to support with accessibility, with learning. There's even AI, tutors, right, that are helping students with learning content in their classes. Some schools are even designed to have like an AI tutoring session where it's being matched at their level of learning and content area. So there's lots of opportunities and unique ways that AI is being used. Even though at the same time we're concerned about plagiarism, we are concerned about student learning, there are very much opportunities in this. So it kind of has tech for good and tech not for good right at the same time, just like the internet. So we're really finding this in education too. Teachers are also using AI to help with student assessments, like reading assessments, math assessments that students are taking, and they're using AI to analyze and review their responses to help with understanding reading levels, math levels. So they're using this technology for good to really support and really tailor just for student supports. And staff, right? Staff are also using AI to help them with everyday tasks. So teachers could also use AI tools to help with writing worksheets, help develop, special education goals, or help, rewrite text or text translations. I mean, there's so many ways that teachers are also using AI tools just to help themselves, even to support them in the classroom. So there's lots of opportunities here, right? Even though there are the real concerns, and we're going to talk about concerns too in a couple more slides, but there are increasingly amazing opportunities to help students with access. So there's AI tools that can provide text to speech recognition. So I think about students who may have a communication challenge, or maybe students with cerebral palsy that may have a hard time communicating, so they can speak to an AI tool that will help with speech recognition or with writing. I was in a wonderful webinar with this organization called AI for Education. And, a student with cerebral palsy who normally could not access and be part of the community with art was able to prompt an AI tool to generate an image. And so they felt that they could actually be more inclusive now, participate in generating and creating art, again, through a digital way using AI. So there's been lots of creative ways that AI is being used to really support those with different abilities. Again, with these assistive technologies to really help meet the needs and increase access to the curriculum or increase access to what the content that they're learning in schools. This could also help students who have reading difficulties. So those with, dyslexia, it can take text. It could actually break down. You could do this with ChatGPT even now. You could upload a PDF. You could upload an article, and you could ask it to summarize for you, give you bullet points. You could even ask it to give you a quiz to help memorize and understand the content of that article. And so this has great implications to really help students with reading and writing accessibility, to help be on equal footing with their peers. And as I mentioned earlier, there are this sort of hybrid, tutoring experiences where students can get additional support with an AI assisted tool to really help with teaching and learning. So I'm going to show you here one of the tools. Is called Goblin Tools. It's a free tool. It was actually designed for those with neurodiversity. So with autism, ADHD, it helps with a lot of executive functioning skills. It's a free tool that those who are like OT, but even social workers, even teachers can support with using students in the classroom, but then also even just adults or teenagers who want to access just Goblin Tools. It's accessible and free online. I did also see that Toby, right, dropped in the chat Khan Academy. Khan Academy has a huge, it's a huge platform for just learning and teaching. They also have tutoring as well that students can access. So thank you for dropping that in the chat. That's really great. So Goblin Tools is an AI tool that, again, is free and accessible. It can help break down to-do lists from a bunch of tasks that someone needs to do. It can help estimate time for an activity. It even has teacher tools. If you're trying to create a recipe, it can break down different ingredients for you. And I'm just going to show you here just a really simple tool, which is the time estimator. We know a lot of times those with ADHD or different neurodiversity have a struggle with just conceptualizing time and understanding how much time a task can take, so they could better plan with those executive functioning skills. So I'm just going to task it here. I am a high school student wanting to write my college essay. How much time would this take for a 2-page paper? So again, I'm just doing a really simple prompt, but it's giving me a time estimator of 2 to 4 hours. I chose a really simple one, but there's definitely, like I said, the to-do list. There's also making recipes, helping just sort of break down sort of information and make it more cohesive, and even a time estimator. So it just has a lot of great tools for those who are on the autism spectrum or just have neurodiversity that could really help with those executive functioning skills of chunking, breaking down, helping with sort of planning and planning ahead. Such as an example of one of those many special education AI tools out there. But there's also other ways to increase access. So we know that our youth in schools, many are multi-language learners. English may not be their first language. So AI has huge implications and opportunities to really help, if English is a second language, to write, to translate information, making it more accessible. And AI tools could really help bridge those gaps. Same thing with under-resourced and underfunded schools. Teachers may not have all the time, right, to personalize instruction, but they could use tools like ChatGPT and Magic School, which I'm going to talk about on the next slide and give a little demonstration of, to help with differentiated learning. So it can break down tasks or break down the content and material for that student's reading level or learning level to really focus where students really need help the most. Rural or remote districts could use AI tools to help with access, right? Maybe there's fewer specialists, but they could turn to tools like remote tutoring to really help, again, bridge that sort of gap. So I think there's definitely infinite and more to come of AI tools that could really support with education. One of the most popular ones out there, and I use this a lot in my trainings in K through 12 districts, is Magic School AI. And it's a wonderful just sort of companion as a teacher or even as a school social worker or school counselor. There's so many ways to use this AI tool. It can help with, as I mentioned earlier, like text translator. You could upload a document and it can translate to so many different languages. You could use an idea generator as a teacher to get ideas on how to teach a certain topic. They also have an AI tutor. They have, and again, this is all free, just to sign up with an account with Magic School AI. And it also has for an individual education plan to create goals for students' IEPs in special education. It can create worksheets. I mean, there's so many ways that educators can use Magic School AI. And this is just one, like, again, like I said, one of the just many, many free tools that are out there for education. AI has really exploded in the education space. So I'm just going to do a quick little demonstration of using an AI tool. And I wanted to see if I could find the lesson planner. Let's see. So that's one of my favorite ones to use is the lesson planner. Let me see if I can. They have so many tools on here. I'm just going to put SEL, maybe social emotional learning. Oh, I definitely spelled that wrong. Okay. Maybe it's under, because I've saved a couple. Here it is. Okay. So I'm just going to show you how Magic School can generate an SEL plan. So SEL is social emotional learning. This is where we teach kids just emotional social skills around like self-awareness, social awareness, relationship skills. So I could use this to create those social emotional lessons for my classroom if I was a teacher or a social worker or a school counselor. So let's do second grade, and we are going to do an SEL lesson on how to share toys on the recess field, because that could be, right, a source of contention. We can choose the age range. Let's pretend this is first graders. So I'm a teacher. I've noticed that my students are really struggling to share toys on the recess field. And this could be the competency, we could say social awareness to build empathy and understanding. And let's have a 15-minute lesson that includes an activity. Just going to put that. And so now this AI tool is going to generate for me in a matter of seconds a lesson that I can create and use as a teacher to support with practicing and helping my students understand how to share toys on the recess field. So again, we want to read over any of the content that AI has created. I'm the expert as the teacher, right? I know my classroom community best. I have a lot of years of experience or just experience being in front of a teacher and being a student. So I'm going to always read over anything that generative AI creates, but it can certainly help save time, help me be more creative as a teacher. And again, if time is a valuable resource in schools, right? So teachers don't always have a lot of time for planning. So this can really help them save time and really have creative lessons for their students. So it's just one of the many examples that Magic School AI is just a great AI tool for educators. So if you have any friends, colleagues, family members that are teachers, definitely share with the Magic School. I think it's just a great AI tool for schools. So even though I mentioned all the amazing positive things that AI can do to help with students, especially with accessibility, especially when English is not a first language, it can also help teachers in many ways to really cut and save time and really enhance their lessons or be really creative. There's a lot of concerns, right? We also heard earlier, like even Marcia sort of saying, and even right, these concerns about student learning. So some of the concerns in education is, of course, the access to technology. So we know, right, there's the digital divide, digital inequity. We know a lot of our communities may not have access, especially our under-resourced communities, may not have access to stable internet connectivity and under-resourced communities. So those who have more advantages at home and privilege and access, there just may be, again, a digital divide. And so it's really important for schools, especially public schools, that they have this technology, that they can provide access and training and teaching and supporting youth so that gap doesn't widen. Oh, just like Bev mentioned earlier, right? Professors need training and support, and so do our educators too in K through 12 education. Teachers also need training and support, and that means all teachers, right? This is this is upskilling, reskilling teachers and educators on how to use this technology and tools, not just how students are using it, but also how they could use it themselves to support in their everyday teaching tasks, but also even thinking about, special education supports for students or multi-language learner supports. And I think there's gonna be more to come. And I'm gonna share with you an amazing resource and organization called AI for Education. They have so many free webinars for teachers and educators that I've shared in a couple slides that I'll make sure to go over with you all, of just free teacher training and supports. Over-reliance on AI, and I think this is definitely even a huge concern of mine, right, is the learning that students are going to be having, and are they going to be over-relying for AI for everything, to write, to problem solve? Are they going to be relying on AI for answers and not really learning the material? They're really going to be learning and gaining that expertise and knowledge and critical thinking skills. And I think there is a sort of line between cheating and support, right? We really want to use AI tools as a support for learning. But again, even as Bev sort of mentioned earlier, where's the line of when it's cheating, not your own work and your own creativity, and where does that come into your assignment? And K through 12 and higher ed, we're going to be grappling with this for years to come, what this is really going to look like with more research, just as we're sort of, building out new curriculum and new lessons and new activities, and really thinking pedagogically how we're going to be teaching with AI. And right now we're just in the messiness of it and just getting started. So this is just the beginning of what's to come. The other concerns around AI is, of course, skill erosion. There's been fears and concerns, right, around losing critical thinking skills, writing and problem solving abilities. We're just always going to default to AI, or students going to always have access to AI, and they do, right? A youth can simply just go to chatgpt.com on their phone, download the app on their Chromebook at school. I mean, it's just accessible. So, there definitely is a concern for skill erosion. The bias, right? We know that AI is inherently biased. Can this continue to reflect stereotype of biases, inaccuracies, and, racial, gender, cultural, and how this is going to affect, even grading and tutoring and career guidance with already this sort of bias built into AI? Data tracking, this is another big concern of mine, is all the student data that's being put into these ed tech tools and technology tools, and how and what is this data going to be used for? And this is going to be years of data information that's going to be collected on our young people as they continue to use this technology. And so I also have concerns around surveillance, right? How is this technology going to be used? Is it going to be used for behavior monitoring, attendance systems? Maybe students may feel that they're going to be judged or treated unfairly. We already know that AI is being used in our child welfare system. So I know that's a whole other rabbit hole we can go down in this conversation, and we're sticking to education, but there's definitely going to be huge implications of artificial intelligence in the surveillance state. And this is going to be happening even in K through 12 education. And our students, and I think just even society as a whole, people are concerned about job displacement. Our job's going to be taken over by AI, and our young people are wondering these same exact things as well. So what kind of careers are they going to be preparing for? And are schools equipped to be teaching them the right skills to adapt and to pivot into the future of what our world's going to be looking like with these new jobs, or new jobs that have yet to be created, and jobs that are no longer going to be existing because of artificial intelligence. So with that being said, there's a couple of frameworks and policies. I'm not going to dive too deeply into it, but I do want to share some resources to continue your learning on AI. UNESCO has an incredible website on so many resources and information on not just artificial intelligence, but it's also tied to the UN 2030 Agenda on Sustainable Development and looking at AI in education, gender equity, capacity for governments and judiciary. And they focus a lot on AI in education. They have tons of great articles and resource and information on AI and education. So I love highlighting and sharing their work because I think it's just fantastic, the work that they're doing. And they have really great frameworks and literacy for teachers and students on here. And they're just doing a lot of work internationally to prepare K through 12 education as we move forward into the future. So UNESCO has some great information, even just more nationally here in the United States. The National Education Association, they have put out a task force that has done just sort of looking at the lens of education on a national scale on guidance on AI for education. So it's a really great report. It came out last year. So you want to take a look after today's session. The U.S. Department of Education also has put together some guidance as well too on how to integrate AI into learning in the classroom. And I think more guidance is to come along with grants and just a lot of money going to be focusing on a K through 12 AI literacy. And one of my favorite sort of websites and organizations is AI for Education. They have it in real time. They're tracking state departments across the country and their guidance on AI to support education. So far, there's 26 states and Puerto Rico that have official guidance, but that leaves a lot of gaps, right? We're just over 50%, but there's so many states, even my home state, New York, does not have, but California does. So I know this is a California chapter, so that's great. I'm surprised New York doesn't, but these are certainly opportunities where advocacy is needed and a push for our state organizations to talk about, to integrate, to add training, and to have policies and guidance around AI use. So this is definitely to come, and I put a link here to that map because I know this is going to be added to over time. But where I really see AI moving forward in the future is this trend of digital literacy. I do not think there's going to be a capacity moving forward that our students will have to learn data, technology, and artificial intelligence, and really centering on the humanity of human judgment, of really how to use AI, so that AI literacy of understanding how to use AI fluency, which means really to evaluate and critically understand artificial intelligence and what this means for society, for their learning, just for, again, the bias and inherent bias that these tools have and the errors that it can make. So really evaluating, and of course, also understanding this technology as well. And I really appreciate this organization's digital promise. This is their AI digital literacy framework. And it really is around the opportunities to interact with artificial intelligence in schools, being able to create, so learn coding, learn how to build and how to build out AI apps in this technology, and also problem solving. And I know these are really key 21st century skills of communication, problem solving, critical thinking that's going to absolutely need to be integrated into K through 12 education. And the sheer importance of, and we're going to talk about this more with mental health, but also just the sheer misinformation and disinformation that's going to be now happening because of artificial intelligence. Youth will need to know and understand ethics and the impact of ethics, digital communication and expression, data privacy, data analysis and analytics, and algorithmic thinking as well. So Digital Promise has a great website. I gave a very, very basic overview here, but I do see the trends in the future of education is really building more policy, training, guidance for schools to be integrating this technology and really teaching K through 12 digital literacy skills. So, and I also included here some resources on digital literacy to check out after today's session. And Also, as I mentioned earlier, UNESCO has those great resources. Another fantastic organization is AI for Education. They are phenomenal. They provide so many free resources to schools and school districts. And my favorite is they have so many courses and webinars that if you want to continue learning, they have free events always coming up. I highly recommend checking out this organization. But they have free webinars on deep learning with math, human-centered AI in schools, building student AI literacy. I was a part of, so I'm gonna put a little shameless plug. I did a webinar with them on AI and children's well-being, looking at mental health, which we're gonna be talking about in a few. But I really do love the work that this organization is doing, and they have tons of free resources and information that I wanted to share with you all today. But I do want to take a pause. I already do see that there's some hands up already. So let's ask and get more conversation just about education and AI. And I know this doesn't do it justice, but Ginny, I see that you have a hand. So why don't you go first?
Yeah, I was just wondering, are there other parts of the world that or have done a better job in like using AI in education and legislative wise? I mean, is Europe, I mean, usually they do better
Yes.
than we are with the EU.
Absolutely. I would definitely say the EU is much more further ahead in terms of safety guidance and legislation, especially protecting the public on the harms of artificial intelligence. That is not the same in the United States. I think there's been a lot more flexibility. I don't want to say flexibility, but just not as many sort of legislation and rules put in place and guidance. There's certainly other countries leading the way, countries like Singapore, countries like the United Emirates, that are definitely leading the way in integrating AI literacy into schools, and they're even further ahead than the United States as well. Yeah, Beth.
I was just going to mention one of the things I had my students study was the GDPR. And again, that came from the European Union. So it's the General Data Protection Regulation. I wanted them to first, my students are studying ed tech, right? And it's like, first, you're a consumer. So we learned what's going on in the European Union and how they get the protections in place. And it was amazing. Then I bring them up to date with California. Now, I don't know if you've got this in New York, but we have a CCPA, the California Consumer Protection Act. And I think that was passed around 2023 or something like that. But now we actually have an office for that as of, I think, 2024. But that's the kind of things, plus all the laws we have in our state that deal with children from 13 and under and online, and the things we have to deal with. And especially what happened during COVID, not only did we see ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act, go to the wayside because nobody was monitoring, but we also saw pictures of children being shipped to across the lines, let's say to Nevada. That becomes a federal issue. So there are so many things with the law that happened during COVID because our teachers were not prepared for that. So that's like some of the things we're learning. But yeah, you're right about that. I mean, when you think of Amazon and Apple, what they had to do to change their framework in the United States to fit the European Union, it's incredible. We are so far behind.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Thank you, Bev, for sharing. And I'm also just drop in the chat. Definitely, I know Singapore has been definitely leading the way in a lot of AI literacy for their education system. So I dropped in an article, and these are just some of the things that I've been sort of reading in my journey of better understanding how AI is being integrated. But I absolutely agree. America is definitely behind in this. And I know there's a lot of catching up to do. But any other questions on AI and education?
No, thank you. It was very comprehensive. Appreciated. So we go to the other SDG, right?
Yes. So we could definitely dive into mental health, because there's certainly lots of things to share about mental health as well. And I know these definitely go hand in hand with our young people, because this is really their world as they're growing up in education, but also the social, emotional development that's happening at this time too. So as I mentioned earlier, right, our young people developmentally are now growing up in a world where they're only going to know a world with artificial intelligence and social media and this technology. They're not going to know of a time where AI just simply did not exist, and AI companions did not exist, and AI chatbots did not exist. So especially I think Gen Beta, these are the babies that are born now in the year of 2025. This is going to be their world. And so I think about what are the implications of that for their social, emotional development, because we know the brain is quite vulnerable, right? In these stages of development, we know that teenagers and young people have an innate need to connect. We also know that at this stage of development, socializing and social connections are so important. We also know at this stage of development, their emotions run high, right? Even at the brain level, their amygdala, we say, is often hijacked, where emotions are really heightened at this point in time, and where anger and sadness, and these are quite intense emotions that our teens can feel. And this is, again, at the biological development level. We know hormones are also a big period of this time. And as well, too, their frontal lobe, which is responsible for abstract thinking, thinking ahead, thinking through consequences, right, is not fully developed to age 25. And so what does this mean in the age of AI with these AI companions, when we know that developmentally and biologically, our teens are at a vulnerable stage in their development, and at the same time they have huge access and they are already using these AI companions? So what is that going to mean for their mental health? So there are some real concerns and implications that I want to talk about when it comes to this AI technology and young people. So this has already made the news, unfortunately, because it's access to this technology. As I mentioned earlier, generative AI and chatbots can create images and videos in an instant. So we know that vulnerable communities, especially women and children, are vulnerable to now what we call deep fakes. This means pornographic images can be developed and videos can be developed by just taking a simple image off the internet, putting into this technology, and now child pornography and pornographic images can be made with this technology. It's free, it's accessible, right? Anyone could use this. We know teens and predators, right, are having access to this technology, so it has real implications for safety of society. And we know that there's a gender-based aspect to this, that more women are vulnerable and victims of deep fakes, and the same thing with children as well. So we absolutely need to advocate for laws and legislation around the protection of child pornography and child-generated images of AI with this technology. And again, this technology was deployed without having legislation and safety measures put in place. And that's real advocacy that's needed right now at this time. And so I know certain states have been putting legislation and laws into place for protections, but more states need to follow suit as well. And of course, it could have huge implications for mental health if a young person is a victim of deep fakes. And we know childhood bullying is already a problem. And now we have AI at this next level that can generate images and generate videos that could even make bullying just even more harmful with this technology. The other concern, which we also talked about earlier, is, again, using AI companions, using ChatGPT as a companion to talk about mental health and depression and suicide, that our young people are turning to these chatbots to talk to them as a companion, talk to them as a therapist. And again, these AI chatbots are not, need improvements in their design and safety, because what they're finding is especially, young people who are vulnerable and they're engaging with the chatbot. There's already been a couple of cases that that youth who have died by suicide because of the conversations that they had with their chatbot that had prompted them, talked about suicide with them, and even gave them just sort of the language and ways to die by suicide. So these are, again, huge concerns around safety. And I think about youth already vulnerable already with their needing of brain maturity and brain development. We already know that their emotions are heightened at this time. We know that many teens are suffering with anxiety and depression, and so they are turning to these AI companions, and this can certainly lead to a lot of concern with their mental health. And so we absolutely need safeguards in place. And the reason being that this is happening is not just the safeguards not being put in place with this technology, but also something known as AI psychosis, which refers to when youth or vulnerable people are using AI technology, they're having a hard time splitting from reality and what is real, and they are thinking that these conversations with the chatbot are real, right? There's a reality distortion. So we're calling that AI psychosis. And so it's confusing the reality with AI, that a person may start believing that their AI is talking to them, whether in secret messages or reading their thoughts or as like a real human. It's also with that sort of dependence and obsession, spending so much time talking with an AI chatbot, talking to it as if it was a human, and having that connection. And again, not human connection, but synthetic connection, where they're sort of losing their grip on reality, leading to isolation or even paranoia as well too, and also kind of leading to delusional thinking, right? That someone may believe that their AI has gained consciousness or maybe is spying on them, controlling their life. And so mental health practitioners and therapists are finding this is sort of happening. And again, if someone is vulnerable already with depression, anxiety, this could certainly lead to some of these real concerns about using AI companions and what this is going to mean for social emotional development for young people. The other thing is, we know that the internet is full of misinformation and social media is full of misinformation. And because we have artificial intelligence now that can generate content, information, and it can make up information, that it now can lead to a lot of exposure, even more so of harmful misinformation on the internet. I think about how, and this is an example I like to use, if a teen is, really struggling with an eating disorder, anorexia, they could certainly go into those kind of rabbit holes and vortex within social media of finding accounts that are pro anorexia, finding ways to cut calories, not eat, starving themselves. And it's, again, this AI algorithm, because they're interacting with content that's pro anorexia, AI is going to keep feeding them that misinformation, this harmful information, kind of creating this echo chamber and sort of rabbit hole of being exposed to a lot of harmful information. And again, we need more legislation and safety put in place with this technology. But again, this technology is being deployed way faster than we can catch up with legislation. So there is a huge potential of harmful and misinformation that could be circulating on social media and the internet because of artificial intelligence. The other concern that I have as well, as mentioned previously, is the privacy and security, right? When teens are putting so much vulnerable information about their mental health, about their lives, about what they're struggling with and what they're going through, again, who owns that data and information? These companies own this data information. What are they going to do with this data information? They're not beholden to the same privacy and standards like when you and I, when we go to the doctor or to a therapist, who's beholden to HIPAA and confidentiality if they use electronic health record systems to write notes and documentation, right? That those technologies have to come with security measures. Security measures are not embedded into character AI, replica, ChatGPT, where all this information is being put into. And actually, the number one reason why people in general, not just young people, just people in general, are using AI chatbots like ChatGPT is for advice and for therapy. And so for me, that signals, and we know this is a real challenge, people do not have access to mental health support. So they are turning to free tools like ChatGPT, but yet these tools are not designed to be therapists and provide mental health and support. These are not coming with data security and privacy. So of course, my concern is just what's happening with the data and information that these teens are writing into these chatbots. And of course, if they really need help, they're turning to an AI chatbot and not a human to get help and services as well too. So that's definitely a potential harm and concern. Again, these synthetic relationships that AI companions may be replacing the human connection, right? If teens, young people are spending hours on end at any time, right, in the middle of the night, during the day, after school, right, on the weekends, they could be engaging with this AI companion for hours on end and replacing this with real human connection. What is that going to mean for social emotional development as they get older, or just even through their teen years, where these emotional connections are really important for their development into adulthood? So, but on the flip side, right? So I know I mentioned a lot of concerns, right? And these are real concerns about artificial intelligence. And I do strongly advocate for more legislation to have more safeguards in place for especially these free AI chatbots out there. These companies do have a responsibility for public safety. And so we need to push for legislation and for safe and ethical use and design of AI technologies. But on the flip side, right, just like as a technology, there's tech for not so good, but then there's also tech for good. What's happening is that we are getting therapeutic chatbots are being made. So these are designed chatbots, so not ChatGPT, not character AI, not replica, but there's actually companies out there designing and creating chatbots that can provide therapeutic support, as they are built by mental health practitioners and tech companies working together. And they're also doing evidence-based research where they're conducting studies and research on these therapeutic chatbots to see, are they positively impacting and reducing depression? Are they reducing stress? And what they're finding is that, yes, there are therapeutic chatbots that help reduce depression, anxiety, even the VA, they're also deploying and doing research on an AI companion to help screen for suicidality. So there are tech for goods in this space that they're using artificial intelligence to support mental health. So I do have here a really quick video on chatbot therapists and what this is all about. So it's like a 2-3 minute video. I just want to make sure I share the sound before I start the video. So let me just stop sharing really quickly. Let me share with sound to make sure the sound is on. And let me go back to the slideshow here. And so this is just a quick video on what AI.
Would you trust a chatbot therapist? There are so many apps that come up when you search under mental health. Could an app be as effective as a real person in providing help or therapy? Talking apps are everywhere now, helping us with facts, finance, shopping and news. Facebook Messenger alone has over 30,000 chatbots for us to interact with. But how about a therapy app at your fingertips, available day and night? Could it help you if you were feeling bad? And how much would you trust it? How we think affects the way we feel, and by changing the way we think, we can feel or act better in challenging circumstances. Cognitive behavioural therapy, or CBT, is a way for people to understand problematic thinking patterns and challenge the way we think about things. Wiser and Robot are 2 automated chatbots that have adapted this effective technique. They're much cheaper than seeing an actual therapist and are available 24/7. But could apps like these actually replace face-to-face therapy?
Wobot is a chatbot, and people should not use him as a replacement for getting real care. That really what he is a sort of an easy way to be brought through a cognitive behavioural therapy process, but he doesn't really deliver it in the same way that a therapist would.
One of the reasons that people don't reach out to a therapist or their loved ones is because they don't want to expose themselves to another human being as being emotionally weak.
We do work really hard to pick up things like crisis, and our number one responsibility to people is transparency.
WISA uses artificial intelligence to be able to detect what you're saying and then decide what to say next. Those responses have been pre-approved by therapists.
What could be the pros and cons of using these kind of apps?
I just don't know how willing I am to rely on technology completely because of the fact that it only has to fail once, and that could be someone's life.
If it's bullying with social media that has caused you to become depressed or something, you're not going to want to chat on Messenger if that's the root of what started it.
And what surprised me was quite how human it was, in that when you said, I don't really want to talk about it right now, they offered something else for you to do, play a game with it, something like that. So I think that's
really good.
That's quite good. It offers, although it's not quite human.
It's almost that first point of call within a crisis. If someone doesn't have someone to talk to, or they might not have access to mental health services, if they could literally download the app and then it helps, then who says that it isn't a good idea, you know what I mean?
Would you be honest in using an app?
Yes, I would, actually. So if you talk to someone who already knows you, like a friend or something, they're going to have their set opinion on what they think you should do, but because they know you. But sometimes you don't want to hear that. You just want someone like that app to just ask questions.
I'm not gonna lie, this app, I'm really impressed. It's like a full-on conversation, and
it gave me a breathing exercise earlier as well.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, whoa.
We have many people suffering from mental health concerns all over the world, and we just don't have enough therapies or people power to meet those needs. The very fact that a young person is seeking mental health online means that there's something wrong. And so having people in their lives who can support them through that, in addition to the app, would be very important.
Challenging the stigma around mental illness and getting everyone to open up and talk is a difficult challenge. For those reluctant to talk to a real person, then perhaps talking to a machine might provide a step in the right direction. If you have a problem, no matter how bad it feels right now, speak to somebody you trust and get medical help. There are kind and caring mental health professionals out there who can help. All you have to do is ask.
And so I appreciate this video because it really gives different viewpoints on how young people are thinking about these therapeutic chatbots. And they do exist, and they're free and accessible for young people to use. So if people are already turning to Replica or already turning to Character AI or ChatGPT, and we know that we're moving into a digital age of this technology, I really appreciate that there is this opportunity of these therapeutic chatbots being created, where they are created by mental health professionals. They are being, evidence-based and research. And there were two mentioned in the video. One is WISA and the other one is Wobot. So Wobot is currently not available to the public. It is still in its evidence-based testing phase. So you can only get access to Wobot if you're part of their studies. But WISA is a free AI therapeutic chatbot. And I'm going to show you in the next slide how you could access it, how people could use it. And what research is finding is that these AI therapeutic chatbots can be supportive and support the therapeutic engagement. They're finding that, again, people may not feel as comfortable talking to a human about their problem or their experience, something that happened. So they can turn to an AI therapeutic chatbot. These chatbots also are 24/7. They're available at any time. So if someone is struggling with insomnia or having a panic attack, or just has a problem and they want to get some solutions, you could, again, talk to your AI therapeutic chatbot and get some relief and some support and assistance immediately, right? So they're finding that it can be really useful in between therapy sessions. They're also finding these apps, right? They can include journaling, mood tracking, reflective exercises to really help support the therapeutic work that's happening outside of sessions. But again, research is not showing it should replace therapy. They do say, like, therapy is definitely the golden standard of care. And at the same time, I mean, I come from working in schools. You may have one school counselor or one school social worker for hundreds of students, right? We have more police officers and security officers in schools than we do school counselors and school social workers. So I'm not suggesting that school social workers and counselors should be replaced by AI. I would love to see more school social workers and counselors, but could therapeutic chatbots, and I'm going to show you a company called Alongside, who are working alongside school districts to give students access to a therapeutic chatbot 24/7, that they could easily talk to the chatbot after school, on the weekends, to get support when it's actually like monitored and designed for youth mental health in mind. That's also evidence-based, that's showing that it's actually making real impact and improvements on youth mental health. So I'm going to show you two today. One is WISA and the other one is Alongside. And so WISA is a therapeutic app. It's used in countries all over the globe. So it's not just the United States. And it's completely free. I think those that are over the age of 13 can access WISA. There's even organizations, healthcare companies that are purchasing WISA for their users to use. And there is evidence base of this therapeutic chatbot, that people are using it. And again, it's much more affordable option, because that's also a real concern, right? Therapy supports are not super accessible, not just in the United States, but even other countries around the globe. So could AI be used as an intervention, as an opportunity to really support with mental health globally? And so companies like WISA are developing these tools, and they're using cognitive behavioral therapy as their sort of modality in these apps. And just like I showed you with Character AI and ChatGPT, you essentially just talk to this WISA, to the app, and you could ask it, you could tell it, hey, I'm really struggling with sleeping, and it could walk you through how to do a mindfulness exercise, or walk you through your anxiety, how to reduce your anxiety, coping skills, because then it's really built by mental health professionals, and with this therapeutic modality built into the app. So it has over 45 publications. 95 countries are using WISA, and it's, again, free and accessible to the public. You can download the app on your phone. As I mentioned earlier, there's agencies that can even purchase this for their clients. So this is just one way of sort of the AI revolution of bridging this opportunity to increase access to mental health through an AI chatbot. And again, users as young as 13 can get access to this platform and seek support. The platform could also connect you with real life therapists. So that's another way that can kind of help people enter into getting therapeutic supports. If you type it and you're in crisis, it's going to then also share like the suicide hotline and information for that person to get help. Again, it's not going to call 911 or reach out to a real human, but it is trained with the chatbot to provide sort of connections to crisis supports. If a person is in crisis, they're mentioning that in the chatbot. So that is WISA. So that's one of them that people have access to. And again, I think is a much safer option. It has also data security and privacy built into the platform, which is another thing that's really important to me. That, again, if you're gonna, I'm not saying, talking to ChatGPT, I think it can provide relief and supports, as millions of people are using it for advice and therapeutic support and for emotional support, but it just is not coming with that same level of training of being a therapeutic chatbot, but also with privacy and protections. And using an app like WISA would afford more of those data security and privacy and protections, along with actually being built for mental health. Another AI tool, and I do a lot of this work in the schools, and I speak across the country on AI and youth mental health. And this has been a company called Alongside. And Alongside has a therapeutic app called Kiwi. So Kiwi is a llama, And the Llama is an app that, again, AI chatbot app that students can talk to. School districts have to purchase this app, so it's not free. Unfortunately, like students can't just log into Alongside and use it. School districts have to pay for it. But the great thing about this app is not only if a school district pays for it and they have access to Llama to talk to, it has social emotional learning lessons built into it, journaling, mood meters. But let's just say a youth is in crisis and they tell Llama, I'm suicidal, someone's harming me at home. What's going to happen is because the school district has purchased this tool, the Alongside team will contact the school-based crisis team then to alert that one of the youth at their school is in crisis. And then they have to, again, the school-based team will then do their wraparound services and supports for that youth and their family. Because again, this is one of the gaps in care when you use a chatbot is it's not going to connect you to crisis services, but an AI app like Alongside, because the school district pays for it, they can alert the school, the child that's in crisis, and then that child can get help because they've alerted the AI chatbot that they're suicidal. So in a way, it's really working alongside in partnership with schools, with school districts. We know that youth are using AI companions for therapy and for help. So what a great way of having a much more safer technology, a technology that's working in tandem and in partnership with schools to then provide support for young people who are already turning to AI chatbots. And I think it's just a much safer way of doing this. And so, schools can work with Alongside to get access to this technology. It also has those privacy settings built in, so no one at the school level will have access to the chats that the child is using or seeing. They won't have access, they won't be able to see that. But schools can get trends. So students are talking a lot about sleep problems, or they're talking a lot about relationship problems or problems with social media. These sort of trends will be shared with the school-based team. And so the school could also make classroom interventions, grade-wide interventions, or just even school interventions to really support with social emotional interventions for the school. So again, I think this is another really creative way of using AI technology for good to really help youth and their mental health in tandem and in partnership with schools to give access to it. So a lot of schools across the country are using Alongside. And it's been a really exciting space to see of this technology being used for good as a potential solution or one of the solutions to support with youth mental health. I do advocate that we should have way more school social workers and school counselors in schools. But I know this can be a more affordable option, especially for our underfunded and under-resourced schools who may not have a lot of the resources and means. This could really be a support for youth, and even just for youth outside of school, because as a school social worker, I'm not working 24/7, right? I also, I'm off on the weekends, I'm off after school. So youth can have access to this therapeutic chatbot, Kiwi, the Llama, after school to then get mental health support. And they're not turning to ChatGPT and all those other ethical concerns with that technology. But with that being said, right, we do have to really consider just family supports, just like us professors and educators, we're learning about AI and the harms and the opportunities. Our families, right, our parents also need support in this too. They need to know about AI and these AI companions and how they work and how youth are using them. We need to raise awareness of the harms, right, of AI for our young people. We need to bring families into this conversation, parent workshops. We need to be doing more of that work in schools. And of course, we need to be advocating collectively, right, for more robust safety guidelines and oversight, especially because our youth are interacting with AI and they definitely need that protection. I've included here a lot of resources for families, just deep fakes and AI safety, character AI for parents to know about what character AI is, how to keep teens safe in social media. So if you have a loved one, family member, sort of in this capacity, because I did hear there's some social workers and mental health practitioners in this space. So these are certainly resources that you can share with your families, and even AI for education. They also have a parent resource as well too. I've also developed a very brief guide for parents, so that's also free. I've included the link here as well of a brief parent guide to what AI is and how you can support parents having a responsible relationship with their child and AI as well. So just like we have to put safeguards in place for social media and boundaries, even as far as Australia has banned social media, right, for young people under the age of 16, we need to definitely raise a lot more awareness and conversations with our parents around AI. So, but before we go into just sort of closing out, I did want to kind of take a pause. Are there any questions around sort of mental health and AI for our young people?
I think we have a question in the chat box. There is a question Michael Muradian asked. You read it or you can read it. He is thankful for the insightful and timely presentation, and he said, I truly appreciate your work at the intersection of AI, education, and mental health. He has two questions. He wants to know that as a psychotherapist and licensed family therapist who he is, he wants to know what organizations such as APA or MFT, BBS, or NASW currently offer best practice and guidance for AI in mental health. I have the same question because you guided us through those resources for parents and for educators, but for therapists is very important to know. And then he has a question about what safeguards should a clinician put in place when using generative AI for writing progress notes and treatment and stuff.
Yes. So such great questions. And I apologize that I didn't actually include the slides in here. But yeah, so AI guidance for therapists and clinicians. So currently right now, the NASW does not have any specific guidance on generative AI. So the NASW does have guidance, tech guidance from the year 2017. So they do have some great tech, just general tech guidance and AI use. I've been part of sort of like advocating, and I hear down the pipeline that the NASW will be putting together a working group to put together some guidance. So I think that's coming down the pipeline. The organization that I'm a part of, the School Social Work Association of America, who focuses on professional development for school social workers across America, we're also in process of, putting together a proposal for guidance as well too. In terms of other organizations not social work related, the APA, so the American Psychological Association, has put together guidance for AI for psychologists, which is great. And maybe Dr. Fallah, I can send you the NASW tech guidance and also the APA guidance as well to share once this link gets shared out with the recording, so that you could have access to that, Michael. And the other thing is across the pond, so the British Association of Social Work, they have put together guidance for social workers using AI. So this is definitely a place where, again, this technology is moving faster than legislation in our professional development governing bodies have just not caught up with, and there's still a lot more guidance that needs to be done. But in terms of a clinician working in this space, there are, and I'm going to also drop this in the chat, there is a ChatGPT technology. It's called Bastion GPT, and Bastion GPT is a HIPAA compliant tool that uses ChatGPT technology. It's not free, so I definitely want to put that out there. It's not free, but Bastion GPT is designed and built for healthcare workers, for those working in mental health. You can write case notes, you can use the chatbot and ask questions, but it comes with all those sort of HIPAA compliant and data privacy and security with the power of artificial intelligence. A lot of electronic health record companies are including AI and putting AI in their systems for electronic health records. So that's also happening in this sort of trend. And also there's other tools known as AI scribes. So AI scribes are using AI technology where they are listening in on your therapy session or medical session. Like I went with my dad to a medical appointment last week with the surgeon, and one of the first things she said when we got into the room is an AI scribe is being used in our conversation today in your appointment. It's going to be listening in and generating and creating a note after today's session. Do you consent to having, this AI, listening and here in the appointment? So of course, best practice, if you're going to be using an AI scribe, and there's many companies out there, Barry's AI and Upheal, I'm just going to drop in the chat, are two of the many companies that exist. You want to make sure that you're always getting client consent, that you're talking to your clients, letting them know this technology, how it's being used, protections, privacy, and security, that they're HIPAA compliant. And the ones that I'd put in the chat, Barry's AI and Upheal are HIPAA compliant. And then of course, if your client says, no, I don't want you using an AI scribe, that you don't use the AI scribe. But if your client does give consent, these tools like Barry's and Upheal, they even have a consent form that your client could even sign as well. So they're very much aware and giving consent to these AI tools being used in session. So these are just some of the ways that AI technology is even helping, because I also mentioned like AI is helping teachers do their jobs and do many aspects of the tasks, not replacing their jobs, but supporting them in many of the tasks. Same thing with mental health clinicians, that there's tools like Bastion, GBT, and AI scribes that could really help in the therapeutic space as well. So thank you for asking, Michael.
Are there any more questions for Dr. Diaz?
No, we don't have a question there.
Could we go back to the gallery view then?
Here, go ahead.
Maureen, say, this is Maureen. Yeah, this is Maureen. I just got a quick question here. It's just amazing, these schools that need these funds for the AI systems and whatever. Is this, I mean, is it from federal, or is this like for, like me, the taxpayer, like in California?
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a bit of both. Yeah, I do think that the U.S. Department of Education, there is going to be money funded for K through 12 AI literacy, training, career development programs, even to higher education. I know there's going to be funding coming from the federal government and even at the local state level as well too. But there's so much work to be done, and we're definitely behind. But I know that this will be a forefront of the sort of trends that we'll be seeing to come in our education system. Yeah.
I think this is one of the best therapies, having a pet. Puppy's not my puppy.
Yes. And there's even like trauma, therapeutic pets that come to schools too. Which is great.
Ev, could I ask you to take a screenshot for us?
Yes.
Only if people, well, I must get my thing. Only if we have your permission. And if not, just turn your video on. And then that would, shut it. We can not include you then, but yeah, I'd be happy to take it. And I'll just count to 3. Okay, I've got some on here. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And I think that's the first one. Let me see if we have any on the second page. I guess not.
I'm gonna take a screenshot using the screen, the laptop, the computer. So, and then we post it on our social media. Okay, thank you. All right.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, Dr. Badillo, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I know we're just sort of wrapping up our session here, and I just want to say just many, many thank yous, just such an engaging audience, and I do hope that this was just really informative and helpful. Just know, even after today, I invite you, let's still stay connected. If you're on LinkedIn, I do have a LinkedIn account. I also have a website. I have a website called the AISocialWorker.com. So my website has, and I know my area of specialty is of course social work practice. So I have a whole free prompts library, free resources, a free guidebook. So if you have any colleagues who are mental health practitioners or social workers, I definitely please feel free to share them with my website. You could always email me, connect with me. It's been an absolute pleasure, being here today. And I know I shared the slide deck. And I know that there'll be a recording of this session as well too. So thank you again. I'm just going to put my information up on the screen so you could see it there. But I do have my email, my LinkedIn, and my Instagram account if you want to follow me. I just share lots of free resources all the time on youth mental health and AI and social work practice. So, but I'm so sorry, Toby. I realized you just have a hand up. Do you have a question or comment that you wanted to add? My apologies.
Toby, you're on mute.
I just wanted to say that this is one of the best presentations I have heard in a very, very long time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Toby, for your just feedback. I really, truly hope this was informative, and just know there is so much to come in the world of AI. So let's just stay connected and keep learning from each other. So thank you.
I would like to close the session. The fact that our audience were very engaged and stayed entire more than 2 hours showed that the importance of the timely topic and our experience and expertise of our speaker. And as we close, I want to thank you, Dr. Badillo, for sharing your expertise and the slides, and very generously you shared it with all of us, all the resources, and with the very engaging dialogue. I'm more than convinced that AI is not just a technical tool. Actually, after this session also, it's a social force that can either advance or it can be an obstacle to the SDG. But together we can use it as something that can advance human rights. That's what I believe. It's a responsibility of all of us, educators, social workers, just like citizens and advocates, that all of us, we are all advocates and community leaders to ensure AI is used ethically and equitably. On behalf of UNA-USA, San Fernando Valley Chapter, and AAUW, thank you again for being part of this conversation. And I'm thankful that Clara Moradian introduced you, and I'm very happy that you responded to us in a timely manner. Let's continue welcoming, working together to create a world where innovation supports human rights, and we can leverage it towards human dignity and human rights, and no one can leave behind. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending.
Doctor,
thank you for very good dialogue.
Before you sign off, I just want to send my thanks on behalf of both organizations. It was an excellent presentation. It was so comprehensive. How you managed to do it without taking a glass of water, I don't know, because I didn't hear a drop in the text the whole time. I mean, it was truly amazing, and I learned so much, as I'm sure the people on this who participated did. It was wonderful, and I hope maybe in a year or two, when we get a little better knowledge and use this knowledge today to understand better AI and its ramifications, that maybe you'll come back and update us. It was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you
That's
so
such
much.
a great
Appreciate
idea.
it. Yeah.